How's it going? I'd just like to preface today's video by saying that the information you're going to see here today is the kind of stuff you'll only see from me and a few other honest bloggers out there, you know. I guess I'm going to start saying that at the start of all my videos. I was watching the video by someone else here a little bit ago. It's talking about the wonderful subject of Tompo, which this particular person has kind of made a career out of talking about. But I thought it was kind of funny because everybody who goes to the Philippines and starts a YouTube channel, that's like one of the first two videos they make. One is the budget video, second one is Tompo. You know, so everybody talks about it. It's kind of a worn out subject in some respects. But, you know, anybody that's dealt with it knows it's a pain in the butt. On the other hand, you know, people talk about going to the Philippines to get away from the evil women of the West, and then the first thing they do is whine about the way the Filipino women act, you know. So, I mean, you got your issues wherever you go, and Tompo is obviously not a fun thing. If you've been with someone for a long time, though, and even if they, you know, had some problems with something like that when they were younger and when you first got together, if you've been with someone, you know, 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 years and you're still dealing with Tompo, there's a serious problem with your relationship, you know. Either she should outgrow it or you as a couple together should be outgrowing that. Finding a way to fix things instead of just saying, oh, throwing up your hands and saying, oh, well, it's just one of those things you have to deal with. But what I wanted to talk about today is I have a sip of my iced tea here, hanging out behind Chick-fil-A, waiting to go pick up some lunch for my wife, actually, for her lunch break. Your wife's extended family in the Philippines. Anybody who's been involved with, you know, or married to someone from the Philippines, especially if it's kind of a long-term relationship, you know that there are a ton of different relationships that you as a foreigner will never be able to unravel. You know, it's this huge, intricate web of things. You have to realize that in the Philippines, and this is especially so when you're dealing with people who've had, you know, large families, but even if, say, your wife doesn't have a huge number of siblings, still, you look at the wide, you know, extended family that she's a part of, you know, dozens, scores, maybe hundreds of cousins and aunts and uncles and everything. And through the years, you've had various different people that went overseas and worked as OFWs. Different people were, you know, when they went overseas, their children ended up getting together with other family members. They were maybe raised for a long time by aunts or uncles or, you know, grandparents, brothers, sisters. And so you've got all these different relationships that these people have had, very intimate relationships, for a long period of time when they were younger in their formative years, and they all know things about each other. A lot of us here in the States, I mean, I came from both my parents, you know, they had, you know, like a dozen siblings. I had so many cousins everywhere, but it wasn't like I was around them all the time and growing up in the same house with a bunch of them and switching back and forth and part of the time living over here and living there. And in the Philippines, that's a very common thing. And you'll certainly find, if you're involved with someone over there, that all these relationships, you know, rear their heads at various different times. I won't necessarily say rear their ugly heads, but some of it can be a little ugly. And you, looking in from the outside, even though you're involved with it, still, you're kind of on the outside of it. And all these different things that these people have been through together through the years, all that stuff plays a part in their current relationships with each other. You don't know how many of these people have gotten along really well, basically looked at each other as brothers and sisters, and how many of them have had fights and long, deep-seated jealousies and so forth. People who maybe they look down on another member of the family or a certain side of the family. You might be a situation like my wife. Her father died when she was only 8 years old. And so you had different things going on in a situation like that, where you've got people who were partial to the mother's side of the family, people who were partial to the father's side of the family, but maybe then, after the father's gone, and it's just the mother's still there, how do those people from the father's side of the family view those children and everybody? As a foreigner, someone who comes in late to the game, it's hard enough if you even are just trying to understand everybody's names, It's very, very hard. Unless you're there actually living with all these people and you're seeing them all every day, even just trying to remember everybody's names is going to be a problem, And especially when everybody's got a nickname or two on top of that, and you'll be there in a conversation, your wife will be talking about this person or that person, and you'll be like, okay, now who was that again? Because there's just no way to keep it straight. And then add in the language barrier and all those interpersonal relationships on top of all that. It's hard enough just to keep the names straight. There's no way you're going to ever be able to understand it all. And it can be kind of interesting with all those different family relationships and dynamics going on, because now that you're living there as a part of that family, there are things that are going to happen, different people who have different jealousies, all the chismis, or gossip that gets going every time something happens in somebody's life. It can be something totally stupid. It can be you building a house and jealousy there. My wife's mom, I'm not going to get into too many specifics about all this stuff, but like there's one person in my in our extended relatives doesn't even talk to my wife's mom anymore, and it's all basically just because jealousy over that house. I got a really nice house that she's living in now. We bought a 65-inch TV a few weeks back. I mentioned in one of my videos about our home build that the little TV that my wife's mom and our nieces had in their house, it had stopped working, I think because of a power surge or something from some of the power tools that they were using while they were building our house. And they went for a long time without a TV, and we thought, well, we've got to get them a new TV. And not just because they need a TV to watch or something, but it's have that TV downstairs there. It keeps everybody together. It keeps the family together in one place, so they're not all scattering, to their separate rooms and stuff, and just hanging out on their phones and not associating with each other. Which in the house that we've got over there now, it's a lot different from where they were living before. It was a lot smaller place, and everything was kind of right there together. And now you've got that big house. You've got like a second floor with where all the bedrooms are, and then up on the top you've got the roof deck and a place to hang out up there. So with just the three of them there right now, basically, they could easily lose track of each other, So having that TV down there gives them a good place to all hang out together and associate and stay together. And it is a nice big screen. It's a big house though, a big room, and maybe I'll have to get a couple pictures of that and share in a video sometime. But even something like that, you're going to have relatives hanging out, peeking in the door, oh, what's that, You know, now just because, you know, you got a big TV. Wow, it looks like a movie theater, you know? And then that'll be a topic of discussion. And with every little topic of discussion or situation like that, you never know who in that extended family is going to say, wow, that's really cool, you know? Maybe we can all come over and do karaoke. Or who is going to say, oh, that's terrible, you know, and be jealous about it. Just because, you know, because they don't have it. So those are the kind of things you run into. And I don't know what the solution is. It's not like it's necessarily a problem, you know, that needs a solution. But you're going to be confused sometimes trying to keep track of everybody. And, you know, especially, like I say, with the language difference anyways, it's going to be a lot of times when you're there surrounded by all these different people and they're all talking and you don't know what exactly is going on or who is saying what about what. And a lot of times, though, for me, I find it kind of refreshing when you're in a place where you don't necessarily know what everybody else is talking about and no one really expects you to know or understand. It actually kind of frees you up, you know, because then you don't have to pretend you're paying attention. Everybody knows you don't understand what they're talking about. And so you can just ignore it and let it be background noise and just, you know, think your own thoughts. And if somebody needs something from you or there's something you need to know about or give some input, you know, about, they'll switch to English and let you know. Honestly, I told one of the guys at work one time, it's not really any different than working in the post office here in Florida, you know, because, you know, half the people I work with are native Spanish speakers from Puerto Rico or the Dominican Republic or wherever, Venezuela. And man, you know, unless they have something they want to talk to you about that requires some input from you, you know, unless you're a Spanish speaker, you don't know what's going on even here half the time, you know. So it won't really, that's what I told somebody the other day, it won't really be any different for me when I'm finally living in the Philippines with everybody around me speaking a different language and me not knowing what they're talking about, because it's not that much different from what I deal with every day here. But like I say, I personally find it to be kind of peaceful. I'm at home with my own thoughts anyways, and my main concern is with my wife and our relationship, and I don't necessarily need to know everything that's going on with everybody else in the family and what they're doing. It's not isn't something I necessarily care about keeping up on, you know. So good luck trying to keep track of all that stuff. Maybe if you are exceptionally devoted to the idea of trying to keep up on all of it, you might be able to get a clue. But I think most of us, we move over there, we just understand that stuff that's vital to us and relevant to us, you know, if we need to know, we'll find out about it. And otherwise, just be happy with your own thoughts.